Hi, my name is Hananya.
Hello there, my name is Shameem.
And my name is Leslie. We're three international friends on a mission to write and publish our first novels. We are the Three Writing Amigas.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh no, it's the wrong camera. Hold on.
Yeah. Have you had an update? Camera update?
I don't know. I think it's just Zoom is being weird. I don't know. It's fine.
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you guys?
Well, I want to just show you my sister. I live out here, and it's funny, northern Nevada. It's there's still a lot of rural area. My sister actually has a little mini farm, mini ranch, is what they call it. It's like 10 acres. And one of the big things about Nevada or this part of the West is there are a lot of wild horses, Mustang. And so she woke up this morning, and if you could
wild
see
horse.
That's her yard.
Nice.
There's a pack of wild horses in her yard.
That's so
cool?
nice.
Like real, just wild horses.
Wild, yeah.
Wild. These are Mustangs. These are wild horses,
That's
untamed.
amazing.
They've been there for 100 years, maybe more. Years ago, when I lived here many years ago. It wasn't as built up as it is now, and so it was many more horses, and there's still thousands of them. But you could go, and there are certain areas where you knew they congregated. And we went out there, and we had this little teeny VW Bug, so it was like the little car. And we drive out, and it's the beginning of this meadow, and there was just this herd of horses. And so we get out, and we're just watching them and stuff, and they were getting closer to us. And they got close enough, not super close, but they got close enough that you could really see their eyes. And let me tell you, it's weird because we're so used to domesticated horses, right?
Yeah.
You could see that they're wild. Like there was a fire in their eyes. It was very cool.
Yeah.
It was very
cool.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I have a funny story as well about horse and me. So when I was in the army, I had to go to Bosnia for about 5 months. And anyway, when I was there, I was training to run a half marathon. So I used to go out running up the hills and mountains most days with some other people. And on this particular day, I was running with like a sergeant major and somebody else, 3 of us there was. And we were running, and then there was this massive horse, and he was tethered to say like a fence. And as we were running, we slowed down, and he just turned around. I'm not kidding you. He just looked at me, and I knew that he hated me just in that second. And he's giving me all like the eyes and stuff. And
right.
and then he started going like that with his foot, and then he was snorting. And I instinctively know that he wanted me dead. I don't know. So I'm with these 2 blokes, and I turn around and I went to run in the other direction because I knew he was coming for me, but I didn't know how long the rope was. Yeah. Anyway, the next thing I know, I wake up and I'm flat on the grass, and the 2 of them are on top of me, the blokes now, stopping the horse from trampling me because he was coming like to finish me off.
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah. And and I couldn't run for a year, so I was limping. I had because he booted me right on my bum cheek, so he gave me like a second ass on my ass.
It was
huge. Yeah, so that's my story about when I went to war in Bosnia. I got hit by a horse.
What?
No bullets, just like a domestic horse as well. So.
Right, a domestic. Oh my God, that's
wow.
So crazy. Isn't that? That's nuts. You just never know, right?
No.
But you got a sense of it the minute the horse looked at you. Felt
when you said you saw it in their eyes, I'm like, I can believe that because I saw him look at me, and I felt that he did not like me, and so I was just like,
funny.
I feel like that will only happen when you like live near the mountain. So,
well,
we don't have that happen here at all ever because like it's cities everywhere. And we don't have mountains. It's flat.
Well, what kind of wild animals do you have there? You must have something. Not just like, I don't know what you're talking about, girl.
Insects.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
That's great.
It is funny. Yeah.
You know, but it makes you think about like beginnings and stuff. I know I'm going to talk about our main characters. I was thinking that, you know, I was reading some stuff today. Let me read you a little passage. Is that okay? So this is a cool book. I don't know if you guys know this, but this is a really cool book to look through, whether you buy, you can probably get it at the library. It's famous here in the States. I don't know about other places. It's called Story by Robert McKee.
Never heard of it.
It's
No, I've never heard of it.
If you go to film school, and even if you don't go to film school, it's like one of the like almost reference books that people use. He's just really, really well known. And I like the way he talks about, you know, it's all aspects of story, but I like the way he sort of thinks about, and for me, I kind of, when the way he relates the information speaks to me rather than being super technical, it's kind of always has this emotional thing. So this is what he says about character, which I thought was kind of cool. So he says, true character is revealed in the choices a human being makes under pressure. The greater the pressure, the deeper the revelation, the truer the choice to the character's essential nature. And I think that's a really cool way to think about it, right? Because as we write, if our character's not under some kind of pressure, then
what's the point?
Then what's the right? So he just says, so I'm just reading you one paragraph. Beneath the surface of characterization, regardless of appearances, who is this person? At the heart of his humanity, what will we find? Is he loving or cruel, generous or selfish, strong or weak, truthful or a liar, courageous or cowardly? The only way to know the truth is to witness him make choices under pressure to take one action or another in the pursuit of his desire. As he chooses it, he is. And I just love the way he just speaks to me the way he writes stuff. And of course he uses he, could be he or she.
Could be they.
Them, or yes, exactly. But this is, it may have been revised in newer editions. I've had my book for like forever, but I just really like that. And so I was just wondering, like, when we first meet your character, Hananya, like what choice, what pressure is she under? Like, how does, you know what I mean?
At the start or in general?
When we first meet her, like, how is that? How are you setting
when we
her up?
first meet her, she's trying to escape like her room, basically. Because she's guarded 24/7.
Oh.
And she doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So she wants to be free, obviously. It's not like she's kept inside. Like she can walk with the guard outside of the castle, but she's not allowed to leave the castle grounds. And she just wants to do her own thing without it being reported to her father. So that's what she does in like the first little bit. She's trying to escape.
What choices? So obviously her pressure is that she's captive. I mean,
kind of, yeah. And like
essence.
her whole life is planned out for her. In a way, like she'll have to do what is told.
And
she doesn't really get to make her own decision.
What's the first choice she makes that we see that shows us that, you know, that aspect of her personality or of your character?
It's that like escaping, I guess, in a way, or like where to go. When she does like fool the guards. But yeah, that's kind of like the first thing. But like her major decision is, okay, I am going to get out of this castle, even if it's just for a day, and get out of the castle grounds and just go somewhere.
Yeah.
So that is like her major, like big decision. That is like the first big decision that she sets out to do. So she's gonna just leave for a day. Like that's the plan. She's not leaving forever. She's just gonna set out and leave for a day.
And besides wanting to, does she have like a mission that she wants to leave? Like she wants to experience the other world, or she's just rebellious?
Yeah, she wants to experience more of the world in a way. Even though she can't, but she wants to. And she's never like been allowed outside of the castle, like the castle grounds. So she's been like kept inside of that. And her father doesn't want her outside of that because the world is dangerous. But she like longs to kind of go those places because she has a friend that lives further away. that she will write to. And she obviously wants to go visit his place.
Oh, it's a boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
How did they
but,
meet?
Sorry?
How did they meet?
How did they meet in the past, you mean?
Yeah.
They were once betrothed.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But they are no longer betrothed. They're just really good friends. So they write to each other now. But he lives further away. So she is like, I want to see the world. Like, I want to be able to travel to see him and see his palace and like see the castle that he lives in, like those kinds of things. And she's not allowed to do that. And she'll be married off to someone else. So she doesn't want that. She wants to
women
choose
really
her own
were
life.
just like chattel. I mean, they were like chattel back then, right?
Yeah.
Just kind of married off to make alliances and
Exactly.
all that, right?
I mean,
And she doesn't want that.
That happens today. And when we talk about it today, we talk about it like it's, this new torturous thing that's been introduced to women. And it's been
But
like
it's
that.
been there for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that about, man?
I know. So yeah, Amelia basically is stubborn. She wants things her own way, and she'll go after the things that she wants.
What's her weakness, like her character flaw?
That she'll go for what she wants, regardless of consequences. She doesn't always think about the consequences.
Yeah. Right.
So that's a little bit her weakness, because she'll just be like, I want this, so I'm going to do this. She doesn't necessarily always think about the consequences of her actions.
Yeah.
She's a princess.
She's a bit naive.
So I guess in that background, she's had more or less what she wants, as long as it's not leaving the grounds.
Yeah.
Right. And plus, if you're that sequestered, how do you even know what the consequences are? Right.
Yeah.
So I guess it's also what you do once you learn that there are certain, I mean, I guess she would know some, like she's going to make her father mad, obviously.
Yeah.
She could weigh that.
She doesn't care about that.
Right.
In a way, like her actions is also, negative attention is also attention. Like she will not get like a lot of love from her father. So she's like, well, you don't notice me anytime. You don't pay attention to me. If I escape and I do things you don't like, at least you'll talk to me.
Right.
So in a way, that's also kind of, I guess.
Yeah.
She doesn't say that, but
But if through her actions, again, going back to the McKee thing, it's, the decisions that our characters make, that we make in our own lives, right? Determines or exposes who we actually are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which sort of gets to, Hananya and I, and actually we haven't talked about this that much, Shameem, but Hananya and I are very clear. We don't like a lot of description.
Not paragraphs and paragraphs of description.
No, I don't either. I really struggle.
Yeah, so it's really, for us, the actions, the choices our characters make, which of course part of that is in description, part of that would be how they relate to other characters, in the story. So we would see that come out that way, What's her ultimate goal, without giving away any surprises beyond, I'm assuming she at some point gets out, and then does she have an ultimate goal?
Her ultimate goal is to find true love and be able to like marry someone that she chooses. That's her ultimate goal. And
her friend is not that. They were betrothed, but that didn't.
They're just friends.
But now they're just friends. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
It does sound interesting, and I like that she's quite a nuanced character. She's flawed as well, and flawed characters
of course,
are the best characters. Like
always,
they have to be, otherwise they're not human.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like every human is flawed, so your character must also be flawed. You can't just have your character be perfect, because that's not how humans are.
Yeah.
I also like that it seems to me that there's like this kind of, well, you said before, and I really like that, where you said it's more like time shifting. And so, because I feel like, and you guys were just saying it, it's still a modern dilemma in some ways for women.
Mm-hmm.
So it has, like, even though it's maybe set in a period hundreds of years ago, and that will affect the story in its own ways.
Yeah.
But it has like this modern struggle message still.
Yeah, it's still a thing these days, and that's, I think, why I like writing this story, because it's not something that was like, okay, well, who cares about it now? Like, people will care about it now because it has a lot of things that are, for today,
Right.
also a good discussion topic. So
very good discussion topic. But how sad is it that we're still dealing with this crap?
It is. But that's why I think, bringing attention to it in like, even if it's fiction, if it gets people talking about it. And
I mean, like, where do we meet your character, and what is her, her actions that lets us know something about who she is?
Well, we meet my character when she has when she's lying on a concrete car park floor after she's just been beaten up by a boyfriend. So that's how.
Whoa.
Okay.
That's how the story.
Talk about setting the scene.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
And literally, when she's just been beaten up by her boyfriend, and when she sits up, he's not anywhere, but her brother and his friend see her and are running over to see what's going on and offer help. And even though she's been beaten up, so she's got a swollen cheek, looks a mess, all she's worried about is the fact that she borrowed her sister's bright orange jumpsuit without asking, and there's blood all over the top. And then she's sitting on the floor really upset because her sister's going to find out that she stole her jumpsuit, because it's beyond repair. So she's not worried about anything apart from not being able. Yeah.
Wow, that says a lot about character. A lot. I mean, she's beaten up, but she's not thinking about herself. She's not mad at the guy that beat her up. She's worried about how someone else is going to react to the clothes. I mean, that just, you can tell, like, her self-esteem is like down at the bottom. Wow.
Yeah. Big time. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's like amazing. So, well, I mean, we kind of, how would you describe her weakness?
Her weakness is that she lacks confidence. So she, on the outside, she portrays quite a strong, almost like a terrier is how I've written it. Like one of those little yappy dogs that is all bark and no action.
Right.
So somebody that will, if you met for the first time, you would think is confident, but really is full of self-doubt, really worried about everything, but tries to hide it a lot from her friends and from her not close friends and family and everybody else.
That's a very common, unfortunately, and very realistic woman. I mean, not that every woman who feels that way is in an abusive relationship, but it's so common. That's imposter syndrome, right? The sense that, you're like this tough, I am woman, hear me roar, but then like with your friends and inside, how scared you are or ineffective in your own life, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see that all the time, like these women who have amazing careers, but then their home life is terrible.
Yeah. I was watching a really good documentary because I'm doing a lot of research on it.
Yeah.
And I think people are always surprised by how strong women, end up in abusive relationships. And it's so common. And I know a lot of my girlfriends that has happened to. It's happened to me. And I think it has nothing to do with being able to avoid a situation just because you have a strong character or, you have a strong mind. You can still find yourself in that massive mess of emotions and feel unable to get out of it. So.
Oh, I think absolutely. I think all of us to some extent anyway, there's like our public life, right? The work we do and how we, sort of put ourselves out there as a person in the community. And then there's the person at home, right?
Yeah.
Who could be quite different.
I mean, you choose what you put out there.
That's true. Yeah.
And we most of the time don't choose to put like how vulnerable we actually feel out there. That's something that we like rather not share, because we want to be strong towards other people. We want to come across as like strong, confident person so that they cannot hurt you.
Right.
But in the end, that doesn't mean that you are and that you're not hurting.
That's right. That's right. It's really true. And in fact, it can often create a situation where you get hurt more because it's inauthentic, right?
Yeah.
So
and the people will only like that version of you when that is not truly who you are.
That's right.
And they think you can take it as well because of the persona or the front that you put on. So sometimes it attracts more bad stuff because people just think, well, you can handle it. So even though like inside you're melting and you're going to pieces. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I just can't get past that first visual. Wow. I mean, you just popped me right in the jaw, man. Wow. Seriously.
But just hearing about it already, I'm like, imagine reading this as like the first thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome.
That will have people wanting to read more for sure.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is like, your goal? I'm sorry. Sorry, Hananya, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. I was just like, wow.
Yeah. that event is the catalyst for everything that happens thereafter. So Tana's my character, and she should have left Will a long time ago, but she didn't want to for all the reasons that we've been discussing and we will be discussing. But this time he's beaten her up, and her brother knows about it. Her brother's best friend knows about it, so she can't hide it from her. And she knows that her brother won't keep it a secret. He'll tell her mother, he'll tell her siblings. So it's the catalyst for her having to admit that, her boyfriend's been beating her up, and it's not a one-off. It's been happening for some time.
Wow. Well, that's pressure, right?
Yeah. She's basically forced to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because she didn't want to. It was the last thing she ever wanted to admit to anybody.
Of course.
Yeah. Right. Even though they had their suspicions, they've seen little bits of evidence, but women are like, they're really good at hiding and masking the pain. So
yeah. I mean, isn't it amazing? Because now I've not been an abused person in that way, but other ways, we all have our struggles as women. How we as women, generally speaking, and this is a big generalization, want to compensate for that.
Yeah.
Like somehow we just don't want to. It's not just not admitting it to ourselves. Like we almost like protect the person. We make excuses for them, right? Because somehow we feel like it reflects on us. It's weird. It's very demented when you think about that. But is that common? Are you finding that in your research?
Yeah, no, 100%. But I think as well, I know we're not talking about Antagonist yet, but he is the poster child for being, good looking, he's charming, the life and soul of a party, everybody likes him. Nobody would ever think that he goes home and kicks the shit out of his girlfriend. Do you know what I mean? Right. And his girlfriend, Tana, my character, my protagonist, she likes that. She likes what it looks like.
What it looks like.
It's her first serious boyfriend. She thinks, it means that when he gets jealous, he must love me. He's always sorry. He cries, when it's just the two of them. And then, 2 hours, not 2 hours later, a couple of days later, something will happen again to trigger.
So what's her goal through this then? Because I think you've set her up like this whole who she is and the pressure she's under with the brothers finding out, having proof now of what's going on and not willing to keep the charade going. Like, what's her goal then?
So she has a couple of goals, but the initial goal is obviously break up with him, but the antagonist Will has different ideas. He's outraged that she dared to dump him, basically. And then it sort of triggers a set of events. And then I think she has an epiphany about a third of the way through where she decides that she wants to leave her hometown of Patalba. It's something she's always wanted to do since she was young, but didn't think that she was capable, didn't think she was smart enough because she didn't leave school with enough qualifications. And then a chance event happened that changes the direction of her life. And suddenly she thinks that she can have what she's always wanted. And as she's trying to get there, Will is coming and trying to sabotage it.
Oh my God.
And then it just goes, there's lots of, you know,
twists and turns. And
yes.
So in a way, what she really wants is to be free.
Yeah. So
free from like Will, but also free from like the bounds that had held her back. Or
it's all about independence, about being self-sufficient, because, you know, she brought up by a single mother, not enough money. So she wanted to, you know, she's always wanted to have a job with security, paid well, so that she wouldn't have to worry about the things that she's always worried about.
So self-confidence is part of that too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, not needing to be dependent upon, and also seeing oneself as worthy, right? Because I think that when you're in whatever kind of abusive relationship, part of it is that whoever is being abused doesn't feel like they're worthy of something better. Right?
That's exactly
for whatever the
reason. Yeah. And again, when you're feeling like that, when women and men, there's men, you know, in abusive relationships, there's no rhyme or reason why someone sometimes feels like that. It's just something that happens or something that grows from within, and it starts to spread. So
well, I think it's also exacerbated by what we were just talking about, that all people do it, but women really do it, this idea that we have this public persona. So it's often that your friends, depending on how close they are, how much you really let them in, may not really understand that about you, right?
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
Up until a few years ago, I would never have dreamed of sharing personal information or anything that sort of meant that, you know, showed the chinks in my armor, let's say. And I think it all changed. Or I started to see things a little bit differently only about 4 years ago. And I'm not young. So yeah.
You're a youngster. You're a baby.
Hananya, don't say anything about that.
I didn't say anything.
I know. Yes.
That's funny.
Okay. Does your character have a strong like female empowerment beginning or like goal?
You talking to me?
Yes.
She's like, who else? Yeah, you know, okay, so my main character is younger than yours. Mine's 14. She's about to turn 15. We meet her on the way home from school. She's been kicked out, and so has her little sister. And she got kicked out of school because she was protecting her little sister from the bully. And so fighting again, kicked out of school. She's on her way home, and she's trying to get there before her mother gets home because she's terrified of her. So, and then she, you know, and part of that, she's terrified of her mother. And then also part of it is she's a teenager. So she really kind of hates her mom and the decisions her mother's, you know, making about her life. So, yeah, I mean, what I hope she comes across as, she's, you know, because when we first meet her, she's like bloody, dress torn. She's like walking through in the middle heat of the day, dragging her little sister along. So she's half being mean because she's pissed.
Yeah.
Then, yeah. But then there's a moment where the little girl's like, she's really crying and she knows that it's her fault, right? That Letty, my main character's name is Letty, turns around and really kind of, she doesn't really try to say, oh, it's okay. She doesn't do that. She basically, she says it tenderly, but she basically says, you got to get it together because I'm about to leave school, you know? So it's this tough love kind of thing, while at the same time, I hope I'm infusing it with this fear of her mother.
Yeah.
And so the dilemma that is set up in that first page really is, you know, here's a girl who's the oldest. She's made to be the protector of her siblings. But she's facing this impossible situation where her mother, who is her boss, right? She's the mom, is saying, you got to leave the thing you love the most, which is school. So she's got a lot of mixed emotions, you know, and how she is going to go about trying to get what she wants, which is to stay in school.
Is that her, does that become her goal, to stay in school, or is it sort of
It's one of her goals. Yeah. It's one of her goals. She's going to learn quickly, not in that first page. In that first page, you learn that's the first dilemma, and her goal is to stay in school. But you also quickly learn after that there is a bargain of some kind between her mother and this white man, and it involves her, and she doesn't know what it is, and her mother won't tell her what it is. And so that becomes an overriding goal. She never loses sight of the fact that she wants to have a different life than her mother. You know, I think that's common. Certainly it was a common thing. I didn't, again, realize I was writing that, but a common theme in my life, wanting to do something other than the generation before you, right?
Yeah. That's exactly, weirdly, that's exactly what it's like for my character as well.
In what way?
That she wants to leave her hometown because she wants a different life from her mother and her mother before her and all her siblings. So, and she knows if she wants that, she has to create it herself.
Exactly. And it may be
so
that you have to.
Right,
exactly. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. That's right.
Like, she wants a different life too.
Yeah.
And that means you have to make choices, right? That go against social norms,
family,
obligations or expectations.
Duty,
right? It might even mean that you have to do things against what your friends, your peers, you know, think. Yeah, absolutely. To get to where you think you want to go. And that, you know, it may turn out that that's not it, but so she's got all of that. But where we first meet her is after she's just knocked the crap out of somebody at school and is dragging her little sister home. You know, one of those. I used to be the little sister, by the way, so I know that role.
I feel like you already see so much of Letty in like a short amount of time. Like, you know that she is a fighter. She'll come up for like stand up for people. But she's also like taking charge in a way of like her little sister, right?
Yep.
And but then that she's also in a way scared. So like you see her like strong side and her, okay, well, this is obligation. I have to take care of my little sibling. But also a vulnerable side of like, well, I am scared. Like, I'm not always the confident person. Yeah. That's so interesting that you see all of that already in like the first little thing.
Yeah. And that she's not totally in control because mama's gonna, that's, I'm glad you hear that, what I'm saying, because that's exactly what I'm trying to get across. Because that, I feel like that feels human, you know, those kinds of.
It does, considering, you know, the era that it's set in as well. It's definitely a story. Both your stories, definitely stories I would want to read, even if I didn't.
But I have the same with yours, Shameem.
Oh,
I'm just like, your story is going to be so relatable to so many people.
So many people,
even if they have not been in an abusive relationship. Just in general, I think, you know, it's going to be such a story that people relate to.
I think so, because it's really about like the power dynamics of women in society today.
Well, that's what I was thinking. With each of our stories, there's a power dynamic where somebody else is in, and you know, we're all in different timelines. We're all in different. Our worlds are so different in our stories as well. Yeah, the struggle is real. Don't we?
The struggle is real.
Struggle is real.
I didn't even read that quote today. Like, you know,
when we come out with merch, that's what it's gonna say. The struggle is real.
The struggle is real. Title of episode.
Yes.
I'm writing it down.
I was gonna say, write it down.
Write down quick. Yeah. Put it on the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I realized I should take notes as we go because I have to keep going back over this to write the stupid description.
Yeah.
Anyway, the struggle, but it's true. It's really interesting, isn't it,
Yeah,
though,
it is.
that we back in, hundreds of years from now, before,
Mhm.
rather, to, the 1980s, to the 1930s, freaking A, man, women are still, our struggle is,
I
the
know.
core of our struggle is still very much intact,
The same.
unfortunately.
That's what I was just gonna say. I was like, oh my God, nothing's changing.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know what that says, but it's totally true.
Right.
It
Yeah.
really is.
And
And I find
you
it
know.
interesting that all of our struggles and like things is basically we want to be able to choose their own lives. Like all of our main characters have
Mhm.
that kind of
Yes.
sense of like we want
Yep.
to choose our own thing
yeah,
and
Be-
determine our
be-
own path,
be the
which I think
creator.
is really
Be
strong.
the-
But it's
yeah,
Yeah.
be the creator of your own destiny,
exactly.
Yeah.
which is my mantra. So
Yes. Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's only by chance that all of our protagonists are female. So
Well, I mean, look, we all had our stories, whether you had written the first draft or not. We
Yeah.
all knew what we were going to write and had started down the path in some way before we ever met each other.
yeah,
So
And- we started the podcast before we knew anything about our stories.
that's right.
That's
That's
true.
right. So what's the chance of that? That's so
I
interesting.
know.
Oh,
But I
my
love that we
goodness.
unravel more and more, and we're like, we're so alike. Everything like matches up so well.
How can we be from different countries? And different generations. Seriously,
Yeah.
I
And
don't
we'll
know.
have different stories, but with the same kind of overarching line.
It's amazing. Or maybe that's why, however, that we met on this Zoom for this workshop thing, that we just became magnets for each other. Maybe that's
Maybe.
because it was
Yeah.
there, but we just didn't know it. But it's fun to discover it.
It's
100%. I like the magnet
mm,
as well.
Yeah. I mean, something pulled us together. Like
Right.
coffee.
yes. Shall we get a cup?
I think we should. What do you say?
Okay. Yes. A
I
big one.
mean, like a giant fat assault.
Well, thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure to follow Hananya at Hananya Leclerc on Instagram and YouTube. Follow Shameem on Instagram at rnpinkhamauthor. And Leslie on Instagram at ld.feral.writer. Or catch all of us on YouTube at 3 Writing Amigas. Until our next hangout, keep on writing.